The other day I was scrolling through Instagram and I found this post that I quite liked. And I had to go check out this house for myself since I may be a potential buyer. And when I checked it out, it made me question, are Fortnite POIs livable? There's a total of 19 POIs, and we're going to be rating them from S tier to F tier, starting off with the Yacht. The Yacht is actually a good place. It's got a kitchen, it's got a bunch of seating, and honestly, it's got a bunch of beds. And it's actually not that bad. For it being on the northeast side of the map, which is the top right corner, it's actually not that bad. I think honestly, I'll give this a solid A. Up next, we have Steamy Stacks. It is a nuclear power plant, so it's not going to rate that high. There's not really any dorms or really anything. There's only a cafeteria, so it's not going to rate that high. So we're probably going to put this at an E. Moving right along, we have Dirty Docks. It's not really anything too special. It's just like a shipment yard. There's not really anything besides a bunch of crates that go on ships and a couple cranes and buildings and trees. Other than that, it's nothing too special. I mean, it's livable, but there's nothing to live in. So, a D. Bomb Spaghetti or M&M's new POI is honestly pretty cool because it's literally in a cave. I mean, it's a whole food place, and honestly, if Mom Spaghetti is good, this place is pretty livable. I mean, it's in a cave. A tier. Lazy Lake is such a beautiful POI. It has mansions upon mansions, and there's so many houses here. There's even a whole restaurant with a couple business buildings in the middle and a little water fountain. It's such a beautiful town. I think this POI deserves our very first S tier. In Holy Hedges, there's not really that much. It's just like a kind of like a bush and tree town. They literally have a center place in the middle that is a store for gardening. So it's kind of like a garden city. There's a couple buildings. There's not really much. There's a gas station right outside of town. We're gonna give this a solid B. Good old Sweaty Sands, the resort and vacation place of the Fortnite Island. It is built around being on vacation. You've got a beach, you've got trailers, you've got a hotel, you've got apartments, you've got a skate park, basically everything you need for a good vacation. And I know this place is loaded. Like, just look at it. I'm gonna give this place an S tier. Ice Spice Isle is quite far off the coast of the Fortnite Island. It's quite far. I've never landed here because it's just so abandoned. But I like the aesthetic of the place. It's like trashy and graffiti, but it's not really suitable for living, so I'm gonna give it a D tier. The rig is just like a normal oil rig. They are built to be lived in for months at a time. So there's already dorms, like bedding, there's cafeterias. It's just the perfect place. Yes, there's oil spilling into the ocean, but that doesn't affect your livability. So I'm gonna make this an A tier. Slurpy Swamp is quite literally a swamp. There's no bedding, there's no livability, there's vending machines. That's really it. This place really isn't that livable, so it's not gonna rate that high. I think I'm gonna give it a solid C. Retail Row is such a beautiful place. It has a couple homes, but really, it's full of supermarkets, restaurants, and just stores. It really is such a beautiful place. It's got basketball courts and a swing set for your kids to go play at. Yeah, I think this is quite livable. I'm gonna give this an S tier. Weeping Woods is such a beautiful place, honestly. It's built as a giant playground and a giant campground for you to go on another vacation. This reminds me of when I was a child and I would go camping all the time. And honestly, camping is so much fun. It is such livable, and honestly, you have fun. These cabins here have such a good vibe in this dark forest. This is why I think I would give this a solid A. Misty is in such a beautiful spot right next to a big old lake. There's not much to this town, so this is gonna be pretty quick. It's got a giant clock tower and some homes and some stores to buy things. It is quite literally a perfect place to live. So I'm gonna rate it an S tier. The Doggpound, or Snoop Dogg's Land of Freedom, is just a giant office building in the center of the map. It honestly has such a good feel with the gold and the white and the black marble you'll see here. It's just a giant place for him to make music, him to chill, and honestly, this place is horrible in a battle royale because there's always like 3 teams here. But this place has such a good feel and it's really relaxing, and since it's just an office building, it's not quite livable unless you sleep on the couches or in a chair. But other than that, there might be a couple places to eat. Other than that, there's just not much. This is why I'm gonna rate it a C. Craggy Cliffs, or Craggy Cliffs, however you want to pronounce it. Honestly, such a nice town. It has a giant restaurant in the middle of it that serves fish sticks. There's a bunch of houses surrounding it and a couple markets. This place, it's really nice if you just want to come here and hang out and maybe eat some fish sticks with some friends or live at the beach and just chill. I'm gonna give this place an A. Next up, we have Salty Springs. There's not much to this town. There's just like 4 or 5 buildings and a gas station. There's Reboot Van in the middle, which, if we're talking about livability, the Reboot Van's not really necessary. It's just a really nice, calm town with a bunch of buildings, and it's just like a village. So there's not that much. I'm gonna give it a solid B. Pleasant Park is probably the biggest town in the Fortnite Island. It's so big that it has a giant soccer field and there's a bunch of houses that surround it. These houses come in different sizes, like this one and this one, and they go from wood to brick and sometimes a mixture of both, but every single one it's just completely different. There's so much life in this town, full of trees, and when there's a bunch of players here, it's just probably the most active POI. Now, here, the house up on the hill is probably my favorite house in the entire game. The view that it has and the interior, it just feels so cozy, and the upstairs is the giant master bedroom with the giant deer above it. It's such a good vibe. I mean, purple bedroom's not really that bad of a bedroom because purple's my favorite color, but the view of this place, just look. I'm gonna give Pleasant Park an S. Frenzy Farm. Now, I don't think you make a lot of friends here because this always seems to be the worst POI to land in or go in, but it's just a giant farm full of corn and trees and buildings and just a bunch of other things. There's even a movie theater on the side with a giant man waving at you. This place, it's full of life and food, and it's quite livable because it's got a giant house in there that you could live in. Now, Frenzy, I don't go here often because I always seem to, kind of die, but it's pretty livable, to be honest, and it's got a certain feel to it that makes me want to say it's gonna be quite up there on the list. But this house is huge. It's a huge area, and Frenzy is probably the biggest point of interest. That's why I think I'm going to give it an S. Catty Corner is the brand new POI that is at the bottom right of the map. It is a gas station and grocery store with the new boss there that gives you literally the best guns in the game. This place, I wouldn't really say it's quite livable because it's just kind of abandoned and it's just kind of overrun. There's nothing really to sleep on other than just a couple couches probably. It has a nice feel. It's off to the side and it's just covered in trees. I think I'd give this a solid C. The last area I want to show you is the side of the map where Juice World is, where the infection is going across the map. And I think this place is so beautiful. The purple trees, the water, and the little Juice World theme, and just seeing him in the background as the final stance before the end of the season comes. But I just want you guys to know that I'll be sitting here waiting for the live event to happen. And I'll see you guys there.